Hello there, it's Haley with the Armageddon Report. Lots to talk about today. We're starting off with tropical cyclones. So we've got Tropical Storm Ernesto. There are warnings actually in effect for Jamaica. Tropical storm warnings. I'll show you that page in a second. Right, but still predicted to become Category 1 Hurricane Ernesto. However, at the end of the current 5-day path, showing Ernesto backing off to tropical storm strength. However, if Ernesto is still around at that point, there's potentially a lot of warm water that could be conducive for re-strengthening. Obviously, that's something to keep an eye on. So let's go, let's talk about Florence real quick. Florence still way far out, however, apparently has, Florence gaining strength far from land. At the end of Florence's 5-day path, we've got it weakening to tropical depression. But, it's way far off, so is it going to hit this area? It all probably depends on the big steering wheel that is the Bermuda High and how, maybe it'll go like this, maybe, we have no idea. It's so far into the future. Anyway, if you click on Ernesto and you click on Watches and Warnings, that takes you to this where you can see Jamaica has the tropical storm warning. Yeah, so, and let's talk about spaghetti models real quickly. Ernesto spaghetti models. I really probably need to remove these things so that you know that this is the Ernesto thing. Anyway, so lots, it's not like Debbie, whereas Debbie is going every which way. Ernesto, fairly certain it's going to continue along these general tracks. Now, will it strengthen? We can, obviously, something to keep an eye on. So let's go back out and talk about the Northwest Pacific. Let's go this way. We'll go the wrong way, just for the fun of it. There we go. So we've got JTWC is still calling this one a high chance of tropical cyclone formation. However, the JMA has started issuing warnings on it, showing tropical depression unnamed and apparently reaching the equivalent of tropical storm strength. I'm not sure. I think the JMA scale is a little bit different from what the JTWC and the NHC, because the JTWC, they call them typhoons. However, the NHC is hurricanes, but they seem to be fairly in line along with like what a tropical depression and what a tropical storm are. And then over here, apparently the spaghetti models are out of control. So the official combined path of the JMA outlook and the JTWC shows it hitting China. However, all of these models show it potentially impacting South Korea, potentially impacting Japan. So that one, did I even say the name? It's Haikui. It's Chinese word for sea anemone, so you just call it Tropical Storm Anemone as though it's any easier to pronounce. So, active weather hazards. So Oklahoma in a fairly serious situation. This is why red flag warnings are important to pay attention to. Red flag warnings are indications that conditions are favorable for fires if they get set to spread quickly. And Luther, Oklahoma, unfortunately, may have had a fire set intentionally and homes burnt down. As far as I've heard from the Oklahoma wildfires so far, luckily, no fatalities. But, who wants to see the home loss? So that's still obviously a big problem. And they're still having all sorts of excessive heat warnings. In fact, probably where the red flag warnings are is where there's also excessive heat warnings. But since the map can only show one color at a time, peach stuff, that's heat advisories. And then way back here, we've got a whole bunch of red flag warnings. Over here on the Pacific Northwest, where it's supposed to be cold and nice and tame, right? They've got heat advisories. Yeah, hottest weather of the year expected. How about that? Severe thunderstorm wise, what have we got going on? We've got a 30% chance of winds, 15% chance of hail, 2% chance of a tornado. So obviously, tornado, not the huge thing. We'll say tornado outbreak, because if two tornadoes show up, we can call it a tornado outbreak, right? And then we just scare everybody. Let's go to the watches page. So what are the watches in effect? We've got one, apparently. So one of them backed off, or there's a bug in the data. Who knows? Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, 8 p.m. CDT this evening. Obviously, if you want the latest data, you refresh this page later on. By the time you're watching it, you go to weather.gov and see if your specific forecast says that you're on it. Here is the wind map for today. So 30% chance in the core of the area, but a whole bunch of states in at least a 5% today. Oh, by the way, winds 58 miles per hour and greater, that's where severe winds. Severe hail, 1 inch or larger. Here's some knowledge for you. It used to be like 3/4 of an inch and larger, I think. Or was it a ½ inch? Here's some knowledge that may be inaccurate for you, is what I should have said. It used to be less. It used to not be an inch, I guess the point I was trying to make. Anyway, here's your slight risk area for hail with the 15%, 5%. So hail not as big of a threat today, and then of course tornadoes even less of a threat today with 2%. So that would mean if you pick this random point in Illinois, you could say there's a 2% chance that this random point or someone within a 25-mile radius of them will see a tornado today. How about tomorrow? Yes, we've got a 30% chance. It's stretching. I believe this was the one that was on the day 5. This is the one that they were warning about that far out. And now they're still showing it potentially being, it's a big area. Will it be a big event? Now this is changed. It had been, I believe, basically almost all of New York and Pennsylvania. Now it looks like the focus, at least the 30% chance, has moved northward, and Pennsylvania is hardly in the 30% now. Day after tomorrow, apparently it's going to taper off and be peachy or something. That is slightly inaccurate though, since it's 5%. So here's your 5% error. Now, of course, by the time day 3 rolls around and becomes today, it could be a slight risk, who knows? It could be a high risk even. That's just really, really unlikely, because the high risks, definitely, there's almost always, indications of it days in advance for it to end up being that big of a thing. Anyway, days 4 through 8, the medium range predictability too low, so there is some sort of severe thunderstorm weather expected in days 4 through 8, but right now, timing and location is not yet certain enough. Right, Severe Weather TV, it's the official homepage of the screencast or something. And then to just quickly wrap up, we say WikiWix is wickedwx.com. There's also weather.gov and Storm Prediction Center for your severe thunderstorm needs. I don't know why I say needs, as though you probably do need it if you're on a drought. You're like, I will take the winds as long as the winds and the tornadoes and the hail brings rain. And, of course, as hail melts, that waters the ground as well. Anyway, cyclocane.com, and of course there's also the things, if you scroll to the bottom, there's National Hurricane Center Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Here's a mirror in case you can't access that internationally, and Japan Meteorological Agency. Righto, so that's it for today. Hope you enjoy, it's the weekend, isn't it? Hope you enjoyed the party that is Saturday. Righto.